Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, students. So today we have a guest speaker, Hemalata Murugesan. She is working as a national CNS for infection prevention and control and nurse consultant and national quality safety experience and health system performance, Kaiser Permanente from US. And Hemalata Murugesan is a nurse leader with 12 plus years of experience in a large healthcare organization. And she's working in Kaiser Permanente, like surgery centers, managing programs that positively impact the health and safety of the patients and employees, quality metrics, and regulatory requirements. Hema also completed her master's degree in nursing at University of California, San Francisco School of Nursing, specialized in advanced practice public health nursing. She has a strong track record of building relationship and collaborating with physicians and clinical but administrative staff, serving as a leader, educator, evidence-based researcher, as well as subject matter expert, and as well a consultant to drive innovation and improve quality, infection prevention, and patient safety measures, especially during this pandemic. Hema is a registered nurse, is a clinical nurse specialist, and she's a board certified in healthcare quality and patient safety and infection prevention control. She has a strong background record in performance improvement, and she has completed her Kaiser Permanente Improvement Institute's Associate Improvement Advisor, and Lean Six Sigma Black Belt programs. And Hema is currently serving as a national CNS for infection prevention and control and nurse consultant for the Kaiser Permanente National Quality Safety Experience and Health System Performance Department that leads to the support quality, safety, and care experience and performance improvement efforts across the multiple states in the USA, serving 12.4 million members. That was founded in 1945, is recognized as one of the USA's leading healthcare providers and not-for-profit health plans. Kaiser Permanente currently serves 12.4 million people and 8 states and District of Columbia. So we have got a great resource person for the art topic. So over to you, Hema. Welcome to you to the session.
Thank you so much, Veda ma'am. Veda ma'am was my immediate senior in PSG college when I was doing my bachelor's. So happy to see you and so happy to be part of PSG, to come back to our mother institution and present. So I'm extremely honored and humbled that you called me today. Thank you so much for this opportunity. So I also had a brief slide about myself. So I was a student from 2000 to 2004, and I was the best outgoing student and received the gold medal in 2004. And I think Veda ma'am had described everything about my specialization. And I also want to say that I live in California and with my husband and 2 kids. Okay, so everybody can hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sounds good. Okay, so ground rules. If you have any questions, you can stop me. If you want me to explain something in Tamil, I can do that too. If you ask me to explain in Malayalam, I can try, but it will not be that good. I can manage in Malayalam. So, and then if you have any questions, you can also ask at the end. We'll have about 15 minutes for question and answer session. But you can stop and ask me if something I say is not very clear, if I'm using something like a specific word that you do not know, things like that. So emerging infectious diseases is like an ocean. So there is so much to talk about emerging infectious diseases, and you are second-year students. I don't want to overwhelm you. If I get to talk about emerging infectious diseases, I can talk about this topic, for hours and hours and for days to days, and I'll still have something to talk about emerging infectious diseases. And as Veda ma'am said, I'm also board certified in infection prevention, so I do this for a living. So I get to do this on a daily basis and work on a practical basis also. So since I'm doing this, not just as, I'm not just studying in books about this, I'm also practically working on this. So I might say things that might be new to you. So please stop. The ultimate goal for this presentation is for you to learn something new. So please feel free. There is no right or wrong answer or wrong question. There's no dumb question. Please stop me and ask me at any time. Okay, are we good?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. All right, okay, let's begin. This is what we're going to see today, the topics. So we will first introduce our topic, and then we'll talk about the origin of emerging infectious diseases. You might have heard about the epidemiological triad or the agent, host, environment factors. So we'll talk a little more about that. Then as we explain up all these infectious diseases, how are we going to control that? How are we going to prevent that? So infection prevention basics and some references and resources. Okay. What are emerging infectious diseases? What do you understand by that term? What does emerging mean for you? Anyone? You can use the words there to help you. Like what does that mean to you?
Viveka?
Ma'am, most contagious disease.
Yeah, it could be any contagious disease. That means it spreads from a person to person, right? So and then it is not found before, it's something new. That's what is emerging. Okay, it's an infectious disease. You're right, bang on. It's an infectious disease. It's contagious. That means it spreads from a person to person. It's newly recognized in a population. It wasn't there before, or it was already there, but it was, for example, it was in India before. Now it's spread to the United States, or it was in Africa before, and now it has spread to another country. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's
Yes,
what is
ma'am.
emerging. Thank you. That's what is emerging infectious disease. Okay. All right. So for emerging infectious disease, we need to be familiar with these terms: endemic, epidemic, and pandemic. Okay. So now you must have heard about this term pandemic a lot. Like everybody is talking about this is pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic. So you must be familiar with the term pandemic. But what does the term endemic mean? What does epidemic mean? And what does pandemic mean? Can anybody volunteer to talk?
Ma'am, disease which spread among the particular area is called endemic, ma'am.
Okay. Anybody else want to attempt epidemic and pandemic?
Ma'am, epidemic example is dengue spreading over in the winter season.
Okay.
Particular time.
Okay. Yeah, you're on the right track. You're getting there. So endemic is something that is existing, or the cases remain constant. For example, in India, tuberculosis is like an endemic. So the number of people having tuberculosis pretty much remains constant. There might be slight increases or decreases, but pretty much you have tuberculosis as a problem in certain regions in India. So that's called as endemic. Epidemic means the number of cases increase proportionally. So there were, like, say, 1,000 cases that was constant. Like every year, you'll have 1,000 cases of TB in a particular area, for example. Now, epidemic is the number of cases will increase. So instead of having 1,000, you'll have like 10,000. Okay. So if you see, look at the picture here. I'm not sure if you're seeing my arrow. Can you see my arrow that I'm moving around?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So endemic is, it's there, but it's sporadically there in these continents, and it's constant. The number of cases they have, like every year, say Africa has just a number, 25,000 cases of cholera, for example. So that's endemic in Africa. Epidemic means, see, if there's a spike in the number of cases, that means there's an increase in number of cases in that particular region. Pandemic is, there is an increase in number of cases, but it's worldwide. Okay, is pandemic. So COVID-19, when it started, it was an epidemic in Wuhan, China, and then it became a pandemic when it spread to all the countries. When the World Health Organization announced it was a pandemic in March last year. Are we good? Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So this is another way. So this is called, for performance improvement projects, and when we do a graphical representation, If you see here, the endemic is like your cases are constant. This is also called like a sawtooth appearance. So if you see here, the cases are not increasing exponentially. It's just stagnant. It's just that sawtooth wave-like appearance. But if, in case of an epidemic, there's a huge spike here. So this is time, and this is your number of cases of disease. So this is endemic, and this is epidemic. Does this make sense a little more?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Okay, so history of pandemics. So do you think COVID-19 is the first pandemic we've had? Do you know of any other pandemics? Anything that you were aware of that has happened before? Like in a large scale, like a pandemic in recently?
Man, influenza, ma'am.
Yeah, good job. So yes, influenza is something that randomly comes, right? Like it has happened frequently. So this is the pandemics that has happened throughout history. So this is just a disclaimer. This is the pictorial representation. There's no way we can go back and check what happened in 165 and 541 AD, right? So these numbers are a guesstimate of the impact of these pandemics, right? So, but the recent ones are more like are the numbers are valid. That means they are reliable, right? Because they are recent, and we know that these numbers can be dependent on. But the olden days we are not really sure how many deaths had happened. So this is a guesstimate. So take this as a visual representation, okay? Um, so from time immemorial, we've had pandemics, we've had infectious diseases. It has been part of human life throughout. So the bigger the ball, the bigger the puffy ball there. So that means the larger the impact. So if you've seen here, in 1347 to 1351, there were about 200 million deaths because of the bubonic plague. And then there was smallpox, and then we invented a vaccine, and then smallpox was kind of eradicated. Then you've had plagues pretty frequently in the 17th century, the 18th century. Then the cholera outbreaks. There was a huge plague again. Then there was the Spanish flu that killed about 40 to 50 million people. That happened around 1918 to 1919. There was a Russian flu. Then HIV/AIDS is still going on. It started around 1981, and it has killed so far 25 to 35 million people. Then there has been, other flus, Asian flu, Hong Kong flu, swine flu, and then the coronavirus, the SARS-CoV, the MERS-CoV. They're all coronaviruses. And then, have you heard of Ebola? Anybody heard of
Yes,
Ebola?
ma'am.
No. No is also an acceptable answer. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Ebola is another infectious disease. Again, it started in Africa. We'll talk more about that. And then this is what is COVID-19. So we've had about 2.7 million people, and it's still ongoing, right? So this is the impact or a history of pandemics, just to give you an overview of what the impact of this infectious diseases has been, right? Okay, so as I said, this is just a visual representation. The larger the furry ball, it tells you how much the impact has been. So the biggest impact and the biggest death has been through bubonic plague, and it was in 1347 to 1351. This originated in rats, and what happened was, we'll talk about the spread process in detail later, but just an overview, just a brief description. The plague started in rats, okay? And then it spread to humans through infected fleas. Fleas is like an insect, so it bites the rats and then it goes and bites the humans, okay? So that's how it spread through to the humans. Then we had smallpox, we talked about Spanish flu, all of this. HIV/AIDS is another big furry ball. We've had several plagues, and now we have the COVID-19. Okay, and this is the resource for this material if you want to go back and look at this. And the CDC, WHO are the resources to get this data from. Okay, origin of emerging infectious diseases. This is a nice a quote I got from CDC is, "We are living in an interconnected world where an outbreak of infectious disease is just a plane ride away." Do you agree?
Yes,
What do you
ma'am.
understand by that?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you understand by that? Somebody can be infected and then can take a plane and then go on to another country, and then the infection spreads there, right? So it's just a plane ride away. We are not, the world has become very small, it's very interconnected, and people go from one country to another country easily now, right? So that's what that means. Epidemiologic triangle, have you heard of epidemiologic triangle before?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay. All right. So agent, host, and environment is the epidemiologic triangle. So the agent is the pathogen or the agent that causes the disease. For example, it can be a virus, it can be a bacteria, it can be a fungus. So that's the agent. Okay. So what is the agent for COVID-19?
Ma'am, droplet.
No, the agent. What's the name of the agent that causes COVID-19?
Coronavirus.
The coronavirus. Can you be more specific?
Students,
It is
please,
a coronavirus.
what's the name of the virus?
SARS-CoV-2.
Yeah, brilliant. That's a brilliant answer. SARS-CoV-2. So it's a virus very similar to, it's a coronavirus very similar to what caused the SARS disease, severe acute respiratory syndrome. That's the SARS disease that happened a few years ago. And the agent was SARS-CoV for that. What they found for COVID-19 is the SARS-CoV-2 was causing it's a similar virus, but it's a slightly different variation. So they called it SARS-CoV-2. That's the name of the virus, and the disease is called COVID-19. Okay. Why is it called COVID-19? What does COVID-19 mean? What's the expansion for that?
2019 வந்துச்சு ஸோ கோவிட் கொரோனா வைரஸ் 2019
Coronavirus disease, it happened in 2019, correct. Good job. Okay, so the next factor is the host factor. So to get an infection, say for example, as a human being, I'm the host, right? So if for me to get an infection, I am the host, and I have to either have a weakened immune system or something that has to be that is going on with my body or my immune system. And so that will decide if I'm going to get that disease or not, right? So the agent and the host has to interact for the host to get the disease. Does that make sense? The host can also be, flea. For example, we saw the plague where we saw the rats, the fleas, and then the humans got it, right? So the flea is the host. So it got from the rats, and then it went to the flea, and then the host changed to the human, right? So the host can also be an intermediate animal or an insect. The environment is any factors in the environment. For example, if you have a forest and there's deforestation and you're going and building a farmland there, so that means that you're destroying the habitat in that place. And so when you go into a new environment, you're prone to get more infections. So that's the agent host environment. Okay, I'm going to show you a video now that'll explain a little more about the epidemiologic triangle.
We are not able to hear the sound, Hema.
Oh,
Students, are you?
No, ma'am.
I don't know why.
We are able to see,
Hold on.
get stuck with the video, but audio we are not able to hear. And they know better epidemiological triangle. They learned, they studied all the communicable disease with the base of epidemiological triangle only. They learn it, Hema. So,
Okay.
and
Okay.
yeah.
So let me unplug my mic. Let me know if you.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we are not able to hear.
No? Okay.
Yeah. This option is coming, you see in the screen. Maybe the other one you need to click it.
You're not still able to hear it?
No,
No? Okay.
we are not able to hear.
All right. Okay. So that's
Problem.
fine.
We'll share the link to the students and I will
Yeah.
give it to the students to see later.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Okay. So basically, the epidemiologic triangle is the interaction between the agent, host, and the environment. So whenever you have the agent and host and the environment are in a spot where there's lots of interaction, then the communicable disease or the infectious process spreads easily. So that's the basic concept about agent, host, and environment. Okay. All right, so we'll discuss a little more about agent factors. So the pathogens are, it could be virus, bacteria, or parasite. All of those are called pathogens. So these pathogens can change or evolve and cause new infections. So for example, we earlier talked about SARS-CoV, right? So there was a modification to SARS-CoV-2. Even after we had the SARS-CoV-2, we have different variants now. There was a South Africa variant, there was a UK variant, then there was another variant again. So all of these variants are there. So how do those variants happen? Because these microorganisms are genetically mutating themselves. Okay. So that's how the agent changes itself. And have you heard of the concept Charles Darwin's survival of the fittest? What does that mean, survival of the fittest?
Every animal changes their behavior according to the surrounding and climatic changes.
That's correct. So the animal or the organism adapts itself to the changing environment, correct? So if for example, if it's very cold, the organism, for if we are humans, what we do is we light up fire, or if we go and take a thick blanket and cover ourselves, and we build houses and we live. So that's how humans are surviving. So we adapt ourselves to the changes in our environment. So similarly, when the microorganisms can mutate themselves to adapt to the changes in the environment, to survive, basically. So everybody needs to survive. That's the basic concept. And the organism also does that. And when it happens, you get new infections. Then agent factors is known infections. They are already known infections, but they can spread to new areas or populations. Remember I told you earlier, an example is like, say, cholera was in India, and then it spread to another country. So that becomes a new infection to a new area. Okay. Have you heard of this concept, antimicrobial resistance? What does antimicrobial resistance mean?
Ma'am, which is resistant to some microorganisms.
The other way around. Microorganisms are resistant to antimicrobials. What is antimicrobial?
medications, antibiotics.
Perfect. So it could be antibiotics, it could be antiviral. They're all called antimicrobial. Antimicrobial means it acts against the microbe or the microorganism. Okay. So antibiotic is one. Say for example, have you heard of multi-drug resistant organisms? Have you heard of multi-drug resistant TB? What does that mean when they say multi-drug resistant TB?
The organism will be resistant to two or more drugs.
Yes, two or more anti-TB drugs, right? So why is it becoming resistant to the known treatment, the known antimicrobial treatment you can provide? What happens? I'll give you a hint. We talked about Charles Darwin's theory of survival of the fittest. What does the organism do?
The organism will adapt to their environment.
Yeah, the organism will adapt to your, say if you are having TB and you are taking anti-TB drugs and you have your tuberculosis microorganism, Mycobacterium tuberculosis inside your body, right? And so what Mycobacterium tuberculosis does, it adapts itself to act against the TB drug you're taking so that the TB drug is not effective on the TB medication. I mean, the TB drug is not effective against Mycobacterium tuberculosis anymore. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you are taking drug, but it doesn't act on it anymore. So that's called resistant bacteria. So again, it's the same concept. The microorganism adapts itself and the antimicrobial resistance happens. And so you have to invent new antibiotics to kill the same organism that was effective. Like for example, penicillin, when they invented penicillin, it used to kill a lot more microorganisms before. Now you have first generation, second generation, third generation. There are so many generations of antibiotics now. And you have a lot of multi-drug resistant organisms around. It's a threat to the infectious diseases world because people, when you take antibiotics, you should not be taking unnecessary antibiotics. Unnecessary antibiotics, when you take it, your body adapts to the antibiotics, your organisms adapt to the antibiotics. That's a danger. And people take, when the doctor prescribes antibiotics to you, you don't complete the course. So the doctor asks you to take it for 10 days. You don't complete the course. You feel better in 2 days and you stop it. So what happens is you're just making your body get used to the antibiotics. And so the antibiotics, the next time you take antibiotics, it will not be effective anymore. Okay. And then I have another, something that bothers me a lot whenever I come to India is it'll be just a small, it'll be like, they will say it's a viral infection, but they'll prescribe an antibiotic. And I don't know why they're prescribing an antibiotic for a viral infection. So if anybody prescribes you an antibiotic for a viral infection, do not take it. You're not well. It doesn't do anything for the infection. And you are only increasing the antimicrobial resistance. It's just bad for the entire community. Okay. Okay, so now proximity to animals is another factor. So human beings have increased in number. Now we are living in places where we were not living before. So we have destroyed a lot of forests. Right, somebody's unmuted.
Surya, please mute your mic. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So we are living closer to animals. And so the diseases that were prevalent in animals can easily spread to humans because we are closer to the animals now. Have you watched the movie Contagion, anyone? I think it's available on Netflix.
No, ma'am.
No? Okay. Okay, this is a very, very nice movie, and I would recommend you go and watch this movie. This is about an infectious disease process. It's like an unknown disease that starts, a few people initially will be getting sick, and then that person, the lady will die, and then her husband will die. So there'll be several people dying, and they will not know what this disease is, and so CDC will start investigating. And then at the end of the movie, they will show, it'll be a lot of panic will happening in the middle, just like COVID. There'll be a lot of restrictions and all of that. And then at the end, they will show how this disease actually spread. So what would have happened was, um, a company would go and destroy a forest. Okay, when they destroy a forest, what happened would the bats living in that forest will have to go to another location, right? So one of the bats will go and live in a pig farm. Okay, are you guys following me so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, a company destroyed a forest. The bats have to go to another location. So the bats have moved to have different locations, and one bat is going and living in a pig farm. And so in that pig farm, the pig eats, not the pig, the bat eats a fruit from the tree. Okay, and the fruit will fall inside that farm, and the pig will eat it. Okay, and then the pig will be slaughtered. Slaughtered means killed, and taken to a restaurant for consumption, for eating. So the chef who is cutting the meat, without washing his hands, will touch this person, will shake hands with this person who the index person who got infected. So that's how this disease spreads. So this movie is like it'll tell you, I like this, the quote they use: nothing spreads like fear. So just like COVID-19, there were lots of unknown things, lots of fear. So people were spreading like lots of rumors, and they were talking about several treatments that doesn't do anything with COVID-19. So this is a very, very interesting movie, and I would recommend you go and watch this. Okay. And what are the other host factors? We have an aging population. So, a lot of people, and our ancestors were not living for this long. A long time ago, they were used to live only for 30, 40 years. Now, our lifespan has increased, and people are getting older and living longer. So what happens to immunity when people live longer?
Students?
What happens to the immunity when people live longer?
Students, can you hear us? Be answerable. Yes, Jennifer. Jennifer, please mute your mic. Bhavya, can you answer?
Immunity become very low, ma'am.
Yeah. So your immunity becomes low, and when immunity becomes low, your ability to fight the disease becomes low. So the probability of you getting sick increases. Jennifer, can you mute yourself, Jennifer? Jennifer? Okay.
Yes. You can proceed.
All right, sounds good. Okay, thank you. All right, so human behaviors, that how does HIV spread? How did HIV spread easily from one person to another person?
Through blood.
Through
Blood and body fluids, right? So one of the human behaviors is addiction. People were using intravenous drug, and so that was a behavior that triggered the spread of infection through body fluids. Environmental factors, previously unrecognized infections can spread in areas that go on ecologic transformation. What that means is, we mentioned another example, when I talked about the Contagion movie, when there's a deforestation, what happens is, bats usually are a very, very interesting kind of species. It's very helpful for pollination. What's pollination?
Transfer of pollen grain make it fertilization.
Exactly. So for new plants to grow, so from one plant to another plant, we need cross pollination. So bats do that naturally for us, bats and bees. So if we don't have bats, it's not good for the world, like, so it's we will not be able to have trees and plants and all of that, the natural forest that's growing. But bats are also very, very notorious organisms, because notorious beings, basically, because they can harbor a lot of microorganisms within themselves. They don't get sick, but they are a carrier. That means they can spread it from they can spread it easily to humans. So they are, they live in forests, and if we destroy, they can come to areas where humans are there. The same thing with in Africa. We will talk about Ebola. So when Ebola started, it started in Africa, and it's widely believed that it's through the chimpanzees and the animals there, and people were eating the bush meat, and so they're killing the animals and eating it, and so that's how it spread to humans. So these are the environmental factors, and so the agent host environmental factor, whenever there's an interaction, we'll have a disease. So climate change is another example. Global travel and trade, we go from one country to another country so easily. There's trade, there's so many goods, and you just saw in the news, what was the canal that was blocked all over the news? Suez Canal. Okay. What was the name of the ship?
Ever given.
Ever Given. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so that that kind of stopped trade, and there were so many ships that were waiting to go past. So the trade is something that all kinds of goods has to travel from one country to another country. We are interdependent on each other. So there is lots of stuff that go from one country to another country. So it's easy to spread infections through that also. Breakdown in public health measures. So if you are in a congested environment, you will not be able to prevent infections. If it's an infection that spreads respiratory organism, like a flu, this particular hospital would be like, everybody will be infected, because if it's airborne, for example. So overcrowded hospital, breakdown in public health measures, like if there are not good toilets, if there is the sewage is stagnant, if there is rainwater that is stagnating, all of those are public health measures. Your trash has to be emptied out. Trash cannot be on the roads. So things like that, if you do not have good public health measures, and that's what is the beauty of public health nursing. You get to know and you understand this the micro level, the macro level picture. You're not just in looking at little things, but you're looking at a bird's eye view, like a bird looking at the big picture. So you're looking at everything. So everything is contributing to your public health. Okay. Are we good so far? Any questions?
Students, do you have any questions?
Ma'am,
No, ma'am.
Yes.
ma'am, you said that swine flu, no, ma'am, Spanish flu, Russian Asian flu, or the pandemic diseases, but it is similar to swine flu or not, ma'am?
Well, it depends on how it's spreading, right? A swine flu could be an epidemic. It's an increase in infection, but it becomes a pandemic if it spreads to multiple countries, if it's worldwide. Okay. So we've had a swine flu in the past. So it depends on if it's just in one location, or if it's spreading all over the world. Does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am.
It could be. Any disease can be a pandemic. If it spreads all over the world, it can be called a pandemic.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Okay, so this is a description of 5 stages of how infections spread. Okay, so have you heard of zoonotic diseases?
Yes, ma'am.
What does that mean?
Ma'am, disease which spread through animals, ma'am.
Yes, brilliant. Okay, so first, it only affects the stage one. Stage one, it affects only the animals. Okay, it's not spreading to the humans yet. Stage two is it spreads from the animal to just one human being. Okay, so it's not spreading from a human being to another human being. It just spreads from the animal to the human being. Okay, the third stage, you have the infection spread from the animal to the human being, and now it's spreading to another human being, but not too many. You have very few cycles, so very few humans are getting infected. Okay. Next is a long outbreak. So animals spread to humans, and then it spreads to humans, and then this human goes and spreads it to another humans. Okay. Now you don't need an animal. That's the stage 5. So the human being who is infected spreads to other humans. That's what stage 5. Okay, is COVID-19 stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, stage 5?
Ma'am,
Stage
now
5.
it is in stage 5, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Yeah. Why is it stage 5? Because it right now it's spreading human to human, right?
Yes, ma'am.
We don't need an animal for it to spread. It's already spread to the humans. Okay, so these are the 5 stages. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So we talked about HIV. So HIV, how it originally started. It started from the gorillas. And chimpanzees. So HIV-1, it originated with the chimpanzee. Then there was a subtype identified. It was from the gorilla. And then there was another animal, mangabe. And these were the origins of HIV. Okay. And so what happened is, the best accepted theory is they either ate the animals, wild animals, which is common in certain parts of Africa. They eat wild animals. That's called bushmeat. So they hunt wild animals and eat. Or as I said, we move into areas that were previously forests. So what happens is, you are more interacting with the infected animals, and so you can get an infection. So that's how we believe that HIV spread. Okay. MERS-CoV. What does MERS-CoV mean? Does anybody know what the expansion of MERS-CoV is? Okay. So it's Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome. Okay. So that's what is MERS. CoV is the coronavirus. Okay. So this originated in the Middle East, and that's why it was named Middle East Respiratory Syndrome. So it's a respiratory virus again. It's a coronavirus again. And so what happened was, remember I told you bats. The bats were infected, and what the bats did was they either through the excreta or the fruits they ate, like palms or something they did, and so the water was contaminated. And then the camels got infected. So camel is our intermediate animal for MERS-CoV. So from the camels, it went to the humans. And then through the humans, it went from human to human transmission. Have you heard of SARS-CoV? We talked about SARS-CoV earlier. SARS-CoV is another infection that again spreads through coronavirus. What happens was the intermediate animal was civet cats. Just like how camels got infected, the civet cats got infected, and then it spread to humans. Do you understand how this organism spread?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So this is another. We'll try this video. If you're not able to hear, I'll provide the commentary. I think it's a very good video for you to hear, or listen to, or watch. So let's try it out. You able to hear?
No, ma'am, we can't hear.
No, ma'am.
But you're able to read the.
Yes, ma'am.
description
We
in the
can
bottom?
captions.
Yes, same.
All right, I'm going to stop that video. Did you guys follow that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
what did you understand from that video? What did you understand from that video?
Ma'am, how the disease gets transporting
Mhm.
in new modes, ma'am.
Yeah, and it told about how cholera was spreading from India to how actually cholera originated in the Sundarbans. It wasn't a common infection before. How it originated after the British Raj converted the Sundarbans into rice paddies, and then how it spread from India to the US and other countries, right? So that's how infectious diseases spread. Veda ma'am, I'm doing a time check. How many more minutes do we have left?
I think till 10:30 we have him.
Okay, all right. Okay, I can continue, right? If you want me to hurry up a little bit, just let me know.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. And this is another video. I will let you watch it later. This is basically telling you how they found out the COVID's origin. So this is a CBS news video. And so they went and kind of looked at some spots in China where again there were bats. The widely believed theory is it did not come from a lab. It did not come from the Wuhan lab. There's no way a human being or human beings or scientists can make a virus like this. So it's highly impossible. The best theory, how COVID-19 started is from bats. It spread to an intermediate animal. We are not sure which intermediate animal. It could be, the theory is a pangolin. It spreads from bat to this pangolin, and Wuhan has this wet markets. So wet market is a market where you have a lot of animals living in cages. So they eat those animals. So pangolin meat is considered to be a delicacy. And so the theory is either through contact, physical contact, or by eating the animals, human beings got infected. And the human beings, and then it spread from human beings to human beings. That's the theory about COVID-19's origin. And this is the video that talks about that. Any questions on that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Control of infectious diseases. So we talked about a lot of, how the infectious diseases spread. So far, we talked about the agent-host environment, how the interaction happens, and how infectious diseases spread. So how can you control this? The infectious diseases, it'll spread easily from a person to person once it starts spreading. How can you, what is an efficient public health system? What do you understand by an efficient public health system? None of the boys are talking. Boys don't talk usually.
18 boys are there. Ahmad Riyad, Murlidharan, Jackson, Ashik.
What do you understand from an efficient public health system? What should be there for a public health system to be effective? I want a boy to answer. No volunteers? Okay, open to everyone. Who else wants to answer?
Are you all there?
Ma'am, by taking survey, we can.
Okay. What are you going to survey about?
Do
Where
you
the
have
infection-
any symptoms about it?
Brilliant. Great job. Okay. What else? What does, don't think about micro level. Think about bird's eye view. Think about big system. Think about from the bigger picture. What should be there for a public health system to be effective?
Proper immunization.
Okay. You're still looking at the micro level. What is the difference between a micro and a macro?
Providing sufficient
Yeah, affordable.
nutrients.
Say that again. I'm sorry. First of all, you need, yeah, go ahead.
Providing proper nutrient supplements.
Yes, Kanna, that's all important. I agree. But what I'm saying is public health system. What is a system? Look at the big picture. Periya level la parunga. Kutti level la, don't think about going and implementing something. நீங்க போய் injection போடுறதோ அந்த மாதிரி யோசிக்காதீங்க. Look at the bigger picture. பெரிய லெவல்ல என்ன நடக்கணும் first? What should be there on the bigger picture? What should you have to have a public health system running effectively?
Maintaining records.
A good government, right? You
Yes,
need to
ma'am.
have a good government. You need to have a good public health system. You should have public health officers. You should have a system existing already to figure out. So you should have public health nurses. You should have a team running, like every district has, or every village has a public health department or a local community health department, right? So all of those systems should be functioning efficiently. How will you know there is a new disease if you do not have a public health system? புரிஞ்சுதா உங்களுக்கு? What you're saying is going and giving them injections, going and giving them nutrition supplements is after the fact. உங்களுக்கு ஏற்கனவே infection வந்துருச்சு, அதுக்கப்புறம் you're going and treating it. That's different. What I'm asking is, how do you have, like for example, just like now how you're in college, how will you be successful in passing out your bachelor's degree in nursing? For that, you need to have a good college. You need to have a curriculum. You need to have a structure, right? You need to have the lab. You need to have all the equipment. You need to be going to the clinicals to get that experience. So all of that is a system. புரிஞ்சுதா? So that system is needed for you to be efficient. That's what we are talking about, public health system. You guys good?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So this is again a video, and I'll tell you what's in this. We are also running short of time. I don't want to play this, and you will not be able to see you'll not be able to hear it. So this is basically talking about how to control infectious diseases. So we talked about how it spreads. Now, how are you going to control them? You can control them by, providing vaccinations, like you said earlier, by following infection prevention practices. By doing surveillance, making sure that you are aware of how the infections are spreading. A good infrastructure, right? You have the municipality comes and picks up trash. You make sure that you don't have stagnant water around your houses. You have a good drainage system. You have good sewage system. You have the water that is supplied to you is clean. You have the air is clean. You have less pollution. So all of that is contributing to how the infectious disease is spread or not. Okay.
Yes,
good. Okay. All right. So this is another video, and I would like you to go and watch it later. So this basically tells about the Ebola, when the Ebola happened, how CDC responded to it. I'm not sure if you're aware of CDC. CDC is like WHO, but for the US. And CDC also works with other regions in the world. For example, Ebola was something, again, it spread through animals to humans, and the humans got infected. It is a very deadly disease. The death rate with Ebola is very, very high. People get infected, and it spreads through body fluids, and the death rate was very high. What they did. So again, it's a team response. That's the beauty of public health nursing. So you get to work with a team of people, and this team, doctor, a nurse, people who does the surveillance, pharmacy, all of these people work together, and they identify where exactly how this infection kind of spreads, right? You understand, you try to understand what is the agent factor, what is the host factor, what is the environmental factor. You put all of that together, and you figure out what to do, right? And once you figure out what to do, you have to implement this process of preventing the spread. One is you educate the people, right? You educate the people on how Ebola is spreading. Then you make sure that this agent, host, and environmental factors are not affecting your further spread. Then you educate people to come to hospitals to get the treatment, right? So you have to make sure that all of these things are taken care of to make sure that the disease that doesn't spread, and it doesn't spread from that area to another area. So how do you contain it? For example, do you restrict visitors? Do you restrict travel from that area to another area? So all of this is managed, this video shows how CDC responded, and how Ebola was kind of contained within that area, and it didn't become a pandemic. If it had become a pandemic, it's just a disaster. Ebola is very, very dangerous. What role can you play in this? What's your role?
Ma'am, providing health education, immunization,
Mm-hmm.
vaccination.
Mm-hmm. First of all, you should be aware of how infectious diseases originate and spread. Okay, you should know how Ebola is spreading. You should know how the COVID-19 is spreading. You should know how the disease process is happening. What are the symptoms and all of that? You don't have to memorize everything, but you should be aware. You should have the general awareness. So if you do not know the answers, you should know where to go and find the resources. You should be able to go, it might be your local public health department resources, or you go to WHO, or you go to CDC, some reliable sources of information. You have to understand how this infectious disease is spreading. Okay, how it's spreading from human to human. Is it through body fluids? Is it through eating contaminated food? Or is it spreading by air? Like, you have to know how the infections are spreading. Okay, if the person has diarrhea, and if there is an infectious disease going on, you should be able to contain that, and you should be able to educate that person how to take care of himself, to make sure that that infection is not spreading from that person to another person, right? And then again, nursing is always an interprofessional team. And when you start working, you have to build that professional relationship. That's where you become successful. The healthcare is not a one-man army. The doctors are not the only people, and nurses are not the only people taking care of patients. It's a team effort. So every person is unique, and every person is important in this game, right? So a doctor is necessarily not superior, and a nurse is necessarily not superior. We all are team players, equal responsibility, and we all play an equal role in taking care of our patient. Your ultimate goal is taking care of your patient, and in public health nursing, a community health nursing, taking care of your community. That's your ultimate goal. So you have to be you have to partner with your interprofessional teams. If you do not know something, you ask the expert in that particular area. And that person ask your opinion in your expertise. So you all work together, right? So all of these people work together, and you look at unusual presentations. So say if there is something that is unusual, you should be able to ask the question. To ask the question, you should be aware of infectious disease process. Okay. And then you have to follow basic infection prevention practices, right? Travel questions. Why is asking travel questions and travel history important in your nursing assessment?
Ma'am, to know how they got this infection,
Uh-huh.
through which agent or host they got the infection.
Exactly. Say if they're coming from Africa, from the particular area where Ebola is spreading right now. right? So you and the patient is saying that, I recently traveled to this area. So that gives you a hint for you to explore that. If the patient has some unusual symptom, you would be going and looking at it and exploring as to. And again, it's a team effort. You will be talking to your team, and the team will figure it out together as, okay, that's a good point, and they will appreciate you for bringing that information. So asking the travel history is very, very critical. Okay. All right. So, and again, generally being aware of everything that's going on in the world is very important. Now we have phones, we have, so many options to look at the news. So you make sure that you're not just looking at books and looking at, other materials for getting your information. You also have to be aware of what's going on in the world. The current affairs is very, very important. Okay, you might know that some infectious disease is spreading in a particular area just by watching the news. Okay, and know where to obtain your information. Go to reliable sources. Do not rely on WhatsApp. I get so irritated when people spread false information on WhatsApp. I think it's slowed down a little bit, but still it spreads like wildfire. The other day there was an audio saying that if you eat ஆறுன சாப்பாடு சாப்பிட்டா COVID-19 வருமா. That's ridiculous. So do not rely on information like that. Go to reliable sources to get your information. Okay. Infection prevention basics. Standard precautions means you assume everybody has an infection process. Like you just assume, and when you go take care of a patient, you have to make sure that you're following, like say if the patient is vomiting, and you wear gloves and gown to protect yourself. So that comes in the standard precautions. So that is, you're using your critical thinking to assess. It's using your common sense basically to assess the patient, and you follow the precautions to take care of that patient. Transmission-based precautions are in addition to standard-based precautions. It's like gloves and gowns and all of that, in addition to standard-based. So hand washing is very important. Hand gel is pretty good. But if your hands are visibly soiled, like if you see your hands are soiled, then go wash your hands with soap and water. Disinfectant products should be used to clean your environmental areas. Your environmental services, they are, don't look down on them. The environmental services people are the heroes. They basically keep the environment clean and make sure that the infections are not spreading. For me, as an infection prevention specialist, my EVS guy, environmental person who is cleaning the hospital, is my best friend. We constantly work with them. So nobody is inferior or superior in the healthcare. Everybody plays an important role. It's a team effort, and I think that's an attitude you have to. You are not inferior to anybody. You're not superior to anybody. So don't think if you're near a doctor you're inferior. If you're about, if somebody who's doing environmental services is someone inferior to you. Okay. Reference and resources. There are multiple resources here. You can refer them. If you have any questions, you can also reach out to me. You can ask Veda ma'am how to contact me. Any questions? I'm sorry it took a little longer.
Students, do you have any question?
Ma'am, you said that for any viral infections, we don't want to take antibacterial drug,
Antibiotic.
ma'am. Can you say any example for that, ma'am?
So say if you're having just a common cold, right? Usually cold is like slight cold, like nasal congestion or headache. You're not able to breathe properly because of that, and then you're just feeling tired and all of that. So this is symptoms of common cold, right? So when you have that, that means it's mostly caused by viral infection. It's rarely caused by a bacteria, a common cold infection. So when you go to the physician and they right away prescribe you Z-Max or azithromycin, do not take it. So ask this question. You're saying it's a viral infection. Why are you giving me antibiotic? Antibiotic should be only for bacteria, right? So, so do not take. I'm not saying all doctors, but it's just common for people to just prescribe antibiotics. It's just dangerous, and it'll cause drug resistance. So next time when you're really sick with the bacterial infection, if you take azithromycin that time, it won't be effective at all on you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Any other question?
Any questions? Students, that's all. We'll wind up the session. Yes, hey.
Ma'am,
Yeah, Viveka.
ma'am, I may like to express our sincere thanks to Mrs. Hemalata Murugesan ma'am for giving an excellent coverage about emerging infectious disease, which is an essential topic we have to know, especially in this pandemic, ma'am. And this session was so useful and understandable, ma'am. And also a special thanks to our Vedavali ma'am who gave us opportunity to attend the meeting, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. So sweet. I have one more thing, Veda ma'am.
Yeah.
So I
Hema.
want to know, I usually do this with all my presentations. This is called plus delta. So plus is what went well, what helped you learn today, what are the positive things about this presentation today, and delta is the sign for change. So what do you think I should have done better, or for the next time I present to somebody else, what suggestions do you have for me? We'll start with plus. I want the boys to talk. If you have anything negative to say, anything that I need to change, please let me know.
Boys, please open your mouth and talk, man. Murlidharan, Mohammed Riaz, Ashik. See, the same problem I faced during my online classes, Hema. These guys are, what to say, they're a bit busy with extracurricular activities, I guess. Yeah, plus you had excellent coverage. Like you touched from the bottom. Like you didn't touch only the part of your topic, but you are like from the root you taken out your topic. It was wonderful. Like they know, even though they know about like epidemiological triad, you started from the basic to the Excel. It was wonderful about it, and the lecture was continuous. It was spontaneous, and the energy level was maintained throughout this. And you were so energetic, and the content to what you have given is very valuable content. Like about that, even that was very new to me. That video link, could you please share that? Was
Yeah.
cholera.
Yeah.
That video link,
I
could you
sent it.
share?
I sent it to you already, Veda ma'am. You can. It's part
Yes,
of the
yes,
presentation.
it's there. Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. Does anyone else? Any students? Was it helpful? Did you learn something new? Any positives?
Meena, Janiksha, could you please give your feedback? Shiva Bharati.
Ma'am, you are so energetic throughout the session, ma'am. I was so admired about it.
Oh, thank you. You're so sweet. Thank you. All right. So what should I change? Give me some feedback about what could have been done better. Like, nobody is perfect. So I would like to learn. So if I had done something that you thought I could have done a little more better, let me know. This is the opportunity to let me know. You think I'm perfect? I don't think so.
Prominently, there is nothing. It was good. It was excellent, Hema.
Okay.
Like
All right.
level, second year level, you have like most of the area have touched it.
Okay.
And you
Thank
were
you.
probing them in between to make them active. Even to my class, I doubt if I ask, they don't even respond. But to you, they have responded to the maximum. I was happy
Oh,
about.
good. Oh, good. I'm so glad. I'm so glad to hear that. I hope this helped you. And I'm so humbled and honored to be present here today. I really value, and I think PSG is a great organization, and you're very lucky to be in nursing. So you're in second year. There's a lot more to learn, and nursing is a very, very interesting field. If somebody says something inferior about nursing, do not please listen to that.
Hema,
There are plenty of opportunities. Yes.
கொஞ்சம் தமிழ்ல பேசுங்க ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் வந்து உங்களோட தமிழை கேட்க ஆர்வமா இருக்கும்.
Oh, okay. Sure. Nursing பத்தி
From that also you please say.
என்ன சொன்னீங்க? Last one?
தமிழ்நாட்டுல எந்த ஊருன்னு சொல்லிட்டு சொல்லுங்க.
ஓகே. நான் வந்து சேலம்ல தான் பிறந்து வளர்ந்தேன். இங்க யூஎஸ்ல வந்துட்டு 2007ல வந்தேன். நர்சிங் பத்தி யாரும் வந்து எதுவும் தப்பா சொன்னாங்க, இல்லைன்னா வந்து நர்சிங் தான் படிச்சிருக்கியா, இல்ல நர்சிங் தான் படிக்கிறியா அப்படின்னு சொன்னாங்கன்னா, டோன்ட் டேக் இட் டு யுவர் ஹார்ட். அது வந்து அது உண்மையே கிடையாது. யூனோ ஐ ஐ I came up to this level, you know, because of choosing nursing. So அத பத்தி நீங்க எதுவுமே நினைச்சுக்காதீங்க. There are plenty of opportunities within nursing to grow. All you have to do is keep trying. நீங்க வந்து எனக்கு வந்து எந்த விதமான பின்பலமோ என்ன சொல்றது, I did not have anything, like everything was படிச்சு முன்னேறின ஆளு. ஸோ வந்து எல்லா எக்ஸாம்ஸும் பாஸ் பண்ணி எனக்கு பின்னாடி இருக்கிற எல்லா சர்டிஃபிகேஷன்ஸும் எக்ஸாம்ஸ் எழுதி பாஸ் பண்ணி பண்ணது. ஸோ ஒவ்வொன்றுமே அந்த மாதிரி நீங்க உங்களை டெவலப் பண்ணிட்டே இருக்கணும் எவ்ரிடே. ஸோ தட்ஸ் வாட் இஸ் வெரி இம்பார்ட்டன்ட். உங்களை படிக்கிறதோ டெவலப் பண்றதையோ நிறுத்திடாதீங்க. இஃப் யூ கண்டினியூ டு பி கியூரியஸ், டெய்லி ஏதாவது லேர்ன் பண்ணணும், புதுசா கத்துக்கணும் அப்படிங்கிற ஆர்வம் இருந்தாலே யூ வில் கோ பிளேசஸ். ஓகே,
Excellent, Hema.
Thank you. So உங்களுக்கு ஏதாவது என்கிட்ட காண்டாக்ட் பண்ணணும் இல்ல கரியர் growth அந்த மாதிரி ஏதாவது கேட்கணும்னா கூட நீங்க வேதா மேம் மூலமா என்ன காண்டாக்ட் பண்ணுங்க. I'll be happy to help you.
Yes, ma'am, sure.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Veda ma'am.
Yes, time, Hema.
Oh, thank you so much.
Like the first request, she has accepted and she had given excellent. She has delivered a topic. Thank you so much. We are proud of you. The institution is proud of you, Hema.
Oh, thank you so much.
2000 batch was rocking the show. Thank you, Hema.
All right. Vinodini is my batchmate. She's going to present later today. I think she's going to present for final years.
Final year.
Yeah. So I'm so proud of our batch today. So thank you.